Boxing has always been regarded as a pastime in the United States. The sport was once recognized as one of the most popular in the world. Millions of fans would flock to movie theaters or glue their eyes to their televisions to watch a championship bout unfold. Boxing had once been widely accepted by the general sports fan, but in recent years its following and credibility has been diminished by a lack of talent and corruption. The ring was once ruled by greats such as Muhammad Ali.
Suddenly the moment came. Watch it. And that was no phantom. That was no phantom punch. And he's down and out.
And Sugar Ray Leonard. And of course the great Mike Tyson.
This could be it. Thomas really nailed. Big left hook, big right hand.
So the question remains, has boxing been knocked out for the count? The current landscape for the sport supports three major stars. 23-year-old Saul Canelo Alvarez of Mexico. The congressman from the Philippines, Manny Pacquiao. And of course, the undefeated, pound-for-pound king, Floyd Money Mayweather. Analyzing the sport using a quantitative basis, we have the following two charts, which show the buy rates for many popular fights. The columns are set up as the left showing the A side to the fight, the middle column showing the fight title as it was billed, and the right column showing the total number of buys. The top chart shows the most recent 7 pay-per-view fights starting from the top down. The most recent fight, which took place on November 22nd, 2014 in Macau, China, was Manny Pacquiao's worst performing pay-per-view in his history as a pay-per-view star. Pacquiao Algieri drew nearly 300,000 pay-per-view buys. Mayweather Maidana 1 and Mayweather Maidana 2, which both took place respectively in May of 2014 and September of 2014, were both Floyd Mayweather's worst performing pay-per-views to date. Mayweather still had over 3 times the amount of buys as Pacquiao, but historically Mayweather has averaged over 1 million buys per event. Canelo Alvarez headlined his first 2 solo pay-per-views this year, producing good numbers, exceeding Manny Pacquiao's last buy rate. The second largest fight in history was recorded on September 13, 2013, when Canelo Alvarez stepped up to the plate and faced Floyd Mayweather. The fight drew 2.2 million buys and carried enormous support from the general public. It was a true star versus star event. The second chart at the bottom shows the top performing pay-per-view fights of all time. The top 2 fights both include Mayweather. The De La Hoya Mayweather fight of 2007 drew 2.4 million pay-per-view buys and was supported by the introduction of 24/7, the Emmy Award-winning pre-fight reality show. Tyson Holyfield and Tyson Lewis 2 were also huge successes. They both were promoted heavily and drew amazing pay-per-view buy rates. The numbers show a clear decline for the sport, with the occasional hit, i.e. Mayweather-Canelo. The data shows us that for the sport to be successful, 2 stars must be matched up with each other. And with the current landscape of just 3 stars, it makes the success of the sport for the mainstream audience near impossible. To further investigate our story of whether boxing is a dying sport, we interviewed a few boxing enthusiasts from Fairfield University. Do you believe boxing is a dying sport?
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's dying. I'd say it's been declining in the past few years.
Why don't you think it's as popular as it used to be?
I think people are tired of watching the same old year after year with Floyd Mayweather. I mean, it's understandable, his excellence, as well as previous boxers before him, Ali, Sugar Ray, Mike Tyson, Mayweather. I think boxing really needs a new head.
How would you change the sport to attract more of a mainstream audience rather than just the overall boxing fan base?
Yes, not really sure. I guess I'd have to try and incorporate some type of giving back to the community with the boxers. All you really see is ads and pay-per-view buys at the end. Maybe in some way that it adds back to society, other than economic gain for these boxers.
Awesome. And what's the one fight you could see yourself paying for pay-per-view now, if it were to be created?
Despite not seemingly in their primes, Mayweather Pacquiao, no doubt. Even still, I think it'd be a great fight, and hopefully it happens.
Awesome. Thank you. Is boxing a dying sport?
Not necessarily. I think Floyd Mayweather is kind of like the dying light of the sport.
Why do you not think it's as popular as it used to be?
People aren't willing to pay for pay-per-view anymore.
How would you change the sport to attract more of a mainstream audience?
Find a television network that will market it to a mainstream audience.
Finally, which one fight you would pay for to see today?
Mayweather Pacquiao.
Awesome. Thank you. Do you believe boxing is a dying sport?
I think it's as close to dying as it can possibly get, yes.
Why don't you think it's as popular as it used to be?
Honestly, just lack of overall competition and star power. I mean, yeah, there's Floyd Mayweather, who's undefeated and hasn't lost yet, and then there's Manny Pacquiao, and then there's Canelo Alvarez, but that's just three guys. I mean, it's not like with baseball, football, or hockey. You have all these star power athletes on every team. I know there's no teams in boxing, but there's star power everywhere, and that gets people's attention. Boxing, you have the big three, and then just a bunch of literally who are they people.
So you think that if boxing had more mainstream stars, it would be more popular?
More popular, yes. I still don't think it would be like as popular as football or baseball, but it would definitely be much higher up on people's like watch list than it is today. I mean, again, I don't know of that many people who sit down and watch boxing.
So how would you personally change the sport to attract more of a mainstream audience besides adding more stars?
I mean, I know on like before the fights, like Showtime, HBO, they do all these like fight things. And they have the guys training, and that's a good strategy. But I feel like they just need to do that more, or just somehow add more something to it that will get people's attention more. Because just showing the guys training and showing them work out. I mean, it doesn't do a very good job of hooking them in. So somewhere, somehow, and again, I don't have the idea, but somewhere, someone needs to think of a better way to get people hooked because it's missing the hook right now.
Awesome. And what is the one fight you would pay to see right now?
I've been wanting to see Mayweather-Pacquiao fight since probably 2008, 2009, and I'll tell you what, I barely watch boxing. I mean, even I think like the UFC or even WWE is more popular pound for pound than boxing, but I do think that if there is one fight outside of the Mayweather-Canelo fight that happened last year, if there's one fight that will get even the most basic of person to sit down and watch a fight, it's Mayweather-Pacquiao. And until I think Floyd Mayweather, both people are throwing accusations. They're not accepting this, they're not accepting that. But I think once they finally sit down and pen a deal, I think at least, if only for once, boxing can really get back in the national spotlight that has the whole nation's attention. But even I think if they did that, then it would fall back down again. But Mayweather-Pacquiao would definitely put it back up on a platform.
Awesome, thank you. It is clear that over the past few years, boxing has struggled to keep itself off the canvas when competing with other mainstream sports. Sports such as football, soccer, and basketball have all dominated the mainstream market, leaving few fans willing to spend their time and their money on boxing. Without any crossover success, the current stars will slowly fade away, and the rising stars will struggle to remain relevant. Enthusiasts have said, for the sport to be successful, it needs many stars with multiple matchups. The foundation of the sport cannot rely on cash cows recycling fights with overrated, below-average fighters. The best need to fight the best. The one fight that every die-hard and casual fan wants to see is Mayweather versus Pacquiao. The fight can present itself as the fight to save boxing. It is two of the best fighters of all time fighting during the same period while in the same weight class. It is imperative that the fight is made. If it is not made, casual fans will view the sport as illegitimate and unwilling to match up the best with the best. Boxing is a sport that creates lasting memories and entertainment. It is an American pastime that with the proper cut man and trainer can get back up on its feet and fight on.